Hey everybody, we did Ruth chapter 1 last time, and I want to go through chapter 2 with you today. Remember, Naomi and her husband, Elimelech, they had gone to live in Moab and with their two sons, and then Elimelech died. They'd gone there because of famine. Elimelech died. The two sons married Moabite women. Remember, these were not who they were supposed to marry, but anyway, God works it all out. And then they die. So Naomi decides to go back to her home of Bethlehem, and the famine is over. So there were a couple of things about this chapter that I thought of that I don't think I mentioned. One is, I wonder how these men died. I mean, we'll never know because it doesn't say, but I'm super curious about how they died. So anyway, because her husband, I don't know how old he was, but the men obviously were young enough that they didn't marry till after their dad died. It's okay, Kitty. My kitty's crying. You might hear Kitty crying in the background. I've been taking care of him. He just does this every night. So anyway, but I'm curious how the sons died. I'm really curious about that. Yeah, but we won't know. So anyway, and so Ruth decides to go home with her mother-in-law to Bethlehem, and she's a person that's a Moabite. She probably worshipped the god Chemosh, which was their chief national deity. That's okay, Kitty. It's okay. I know. It's okay. I feed him all the time. He gets constant snacks, and then if the dogs eat his cat food, he gets very upset and comes to me and cries. But if I just go fill it again, which I half the time I do, the dogs just eat it again. So anyway, Kitty, it's okay. But anyway, so now we're going to read about, remember when they got back to Bethlehem, they had been gone, Naomi had been gone 10 years, and she was recognized by everyone there, but she's like, don't call me Naomi, which means delight, call me Mara, bitter, because she feels like the Lord has let her down. He's dealt bitterly with her. But what she doesn't understand is that because of this whole situation, the Christ child is going to be born into her family line in several generations from now. So, she only sees it from her limited human perspective, but God has a plan, and it's bigger than her. It's gonna be something that comes into play a few generations from now. So it makes me think, like in our own lives, if we're disappointed or we think that something has not gone right, could that thing positively affect future generations? Because we only see it from our perspective. We don't see it from God's perspective. His ways are greater than ours. So anyway, let's go right into chapter 2. They're getting back to Bethlehem, and it's the start of the barley harvest. Right after the barley harvest will be the wheat harvest. Okay. This section is subtitled Ruth Gleans in Boaz's Field. Now Naomi had a kinsman, a relative. Now Naomi had a kinsman of her husband, a man of great wealth, of the family of Elimelech, whose name was Boaz. And Ruth the Moabitess said to Naomi, please let me go to the field and glean among the ears of grain after one in whose sight I may find favor. And she said to her, go, my daughter. Now remember, they're not going to have much, although I'm assuming maybe, it's just an assumption. I'm assuming maybe they had a house to go back to. I don't know. Or they're staying with relatives or something. So Ruth wants to go glean in the field of this wealthy relative. So she departed and went and gleaned in the field after the reapers. The reapers would be the harvesters. And she happened to come to the portion of the field belonging to Boaz, who was of the family of Elimelech. He's the wealthy landowner. Now behold, Boaz came from Bethlehem and said to the reapers, may the Lord be with you. And they said to him, may the Lord bless you. Then Boaz said to his servant who was in charge of the reapers, "Whose young woman is this?" The servant in charge of the reapers replied, "She is the young Kitty. It's okay." Goodness gracious. You'd think that he was being neglected or something. Trust me, it's not happening. These critters of mine are never neglected. Okay, the servant in charge of the reapers replied, "She is the young Moabite woman who returned with Naomi from the land of Moab." And she said, "Please let me glean and gather after the reapers among the sheaves." Thus she came and remained in the morning until now. She has been sitting in the house for a little while. So she's resting in the house when he's asking this. She's been gleaning from the morning. So she's picking up the leftover grain, basically. And it's a way she's providing for herself and for Naomi. So she's following, the harvesters and gathering what's left over. It was noticed, obviously, that when Naomi came back, that she had her daughter-in-law with her and a Moabite woman. And it sounds like maybe Boaz had heard of her because they're like, "Oh, this is the one that she is the young Moabite woman." Like, you've heard of her maybe. I'm sensing that maybe he heard of her, but he didn't know who she was. And they're explaining this is the Moabite woman, the one that came with her. Then Boaz said to Ruth, so he's talking directly to her, "Listen carefully, my daughter. Do not go glean in another field. Furthermore, do not go on from this one, but stay here with my maids. Let your eyes be on the field which they reap, and go after them. Indeed, I have commanded the servants not to touch you. When you are thirsty, go to the water jars and drink from what the servants draw." So he's giving her instruction, follow my servants and glean what is left. And then when you need water, go drink from the water that's been provided for them. Then she fell on her face, bowing to the ground, and said to him, Why have I found favor in your sight that you should take notice of me, since I am a foreigner? Boaz replied to her, "Kitty." Can you hear that? It's just desperation. As soon as I'm done, I'm going to go tend to him and give him whatever he wants. He does this every night. Like, he loves the ceiling fan, and he'll get on top of the kitchen table and just look up there and cry because it's like he wants to get up there. And he'll cry because he can't. Anyway, it's the animal saga at my house. Boaz replied to her, "All that you have done for your mother-in-law after the death of your husband has been fully reported to me, and how you left your father and your mother and the land of your birth and came to a people that you did not previously know. May the Lord reward your work, and your wages be full from the Lord, the God of Israel, under whose wings you have come to seek refuge." So he's heard of her. He's heard of her, and he realizes that she left her own home, her parents, and her gods, especially this god Shemash, to come take care of Naomi and to worship their God. And so he's very impressed by this because he's already heard about this. He says, "All that you've done for your mother-in-law after the death of your husband has been fully reported to me." So in a sense, Naomi had her. She may not have had a spouse or sons anymore, but she had Ruth. Ruth didn't want her to be abandoned. And this is very impressive to Boaz. And he's also impressed by her work ethic. So he wants her to stay in his field and glean there after his servants. Okay, then Ruth is going to respond to him. Then she said, "I have found favor in your sight, my lord, for you have comforted me, and indeed you have spoken kindly to your maidservant, though I am not like one of your maidservants." At mealtime, Boaz said to her, "Come here, that you may eat of the bread and dip your piece of bread in the vinegar." So she sat beside the reapers, and he served her roasted grain, and she ate and was satisfied and had some left. "Hi, Kitty. Come up here and let everybody see you." He didn't want to. Anyway, so he feeds her along with his servants. When she rose to glean, Boaz commanded his servants, saying, Let her glean even among the sheaves, and do not insult her. Also, you shall purposely pull out for her some grain from the bundles, and leave it that she may glean, and do not rebuke her. So he's leaving some of the sheaves behind, and Ruth can take some of what the harvesters would normally take. He's trying to make it a little bit easier for her, and yeah. So she gleaned in the field, so she gleaned in the field until evening. So she's been physically working from morning till evening. Then she beat out what she had gleaned, and it was about an ephah of barley. I looked that up, and that's about maybe a 5 gallons or so. She took it up and went into the city, and her mother-in-law saw what she had gleaned. She also took it out and gave Naomi what she had left after she was satisfied. So they're living in the city. You know, she's working out in the field. Kitty, it's okay. Her mother-in-law then said to her, "Where did you glean today, and where did you work? May he who took notice of you be blessed." So she told her mother-in-law with whom she had worked and said, "The name of the man with whom I work today is Boaz." Naomi said to her daughter-in-law, "May he be blessed of the Lord, who has not withdrawn his kindness to the living and to the dead." Again Naomi said to her, "The man is our relative. He is one of our closest relatives." So Ruth didn't know it, but the place where look what I got on my lap. Oh, my little baby. This is Aspen. Oh, see? She's sitting on my lap, keeping me company while I do this. Anyway, so Boaz is a close relative of Elimelech. And so, yeah. So she's gleaning in the field of the relative. Remember, this is a wealthy relative. And he wants her to stay in his field, not in the fields of others. He's placed protection from her, provision for her, all of that. He's taking care of these ladies who've lost their male relatives. Then Ruth the Moabitess said, "Furthermore, he said to me, 'You should stay close to my servants until they have finished all my harvest.'" Naomi said to Ruth, her daughter-in-law, "It is good, my daughter, that you go out with his maids, so that others do not fall upon you in another field." I don't know what kind of dangers there were, but remember Boaz told everyone, "Don't touch her, leave her alone, let her do this." So there may have been some, dangers out there. That's maybe one reason it sounds like he wants her to stay in his field. Naomi said to Ruth, her daughter-in-law, "It is good, my daughter, that you go out with his maids, so that others do not fall upon you in another field." So she stayed close by the maids of Boaz in order to glean until the end of barley harvest and the wheat harvest. And she lived with her mother-in-law. So this is why it was important that she show up right at the beginning of barley harvest. It might sound like a minor detail, but it is not a minor detail. God uses, little things to bring about big things. And we're going to find out more about this relationship that is going to develop between Boaz and Ruth. And it all started because she went to glean in his barley field. People would glean who didn't have much. And so, yeah. Anyway, it's very key details. Even though it seems small, it's not. It's very key details. And through this relationship, God is going to eventually bring about the Christ child some generations later. So, yeah. Just think, some of our parents, however they might have met. I think my parents were set up on a date. But, you might think of how your parents met as just maybe a quinky dink. But that's unlikely. It was more than likely God's... and not everybody marries who they're supposed to. But But, you know, it's not an accident that we're here. God has planned us since before the foundation of the world. So anyway, next time we'll get into Ruth chapter 3, and I hope you have a great week.